أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد رسول الله اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى بيته الطيبين الطاهرين والمعصومين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي السلام عليكم. It is the 7th of Muharram, and today is not an ordinary day on the plains of Karbala. Up to now, Imam Hussein's caravan had access to the river Euphrates, but today Omar bin Saad sends a messenger to the grandson of Rasulullah, and the messenger says, "Move your tent, you shall no longer have access to water." Today is when Omar bin Saad, lanatullah alayh, cut off water to the progeny of Rasulullah, to the one who in Ziyarat Warisa has been proclaimed to be the inheritor of every prophet from Adam to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi. And they still cut off water to him. Abbas alayhi salam, the water carrier, the one responsible for providing the camp with the water, almost attacked the messenger out of rage of what injustice was being done. Imam Hussain said, "We will move our tents." Today is when, from the camp of Imam Hussain, the cry of Al-Atash, the thirst will begin. Today is when the lips of the children of the Ahlul Bayt will run dry. When the thirst of the warriors of the camp of Imam Hussain will weaken them to the point where they can barely move, but will give their life in the name of their Imam, in the name of Islam. And one of these warriors was the son of the second Imam, Imam al-Hassan al-Mujtaba alayhi salam. His name was Qasim ibn Hassan alayhi salam. And he wasn't just loved by his father. He was one of the most cherished members of the Ahlul Bayt to Imam Hussain. Qasim himself was the youngest son of Imam Hassan ibn Ali alayhi salam. And at Karbala, he is narrated that he was barely 13 years old. Can you imagine them cutting water to the camp where there are children, barely adolescent children, not to mention children even younger than 13, such as Ali al-Asghar alayhi salam was 6 months old. Qasim is narrated that he was a beautiful child with a face that shone with the glory of a full moon and was as beautiful as a fully bloomed rose. Qasim alayhi salam, like Lady Zainab's children, and Imam Hussein's son Ali al-Akbar was trained by Abbas alayhi salam in the arts of fencing and was a ferocious warrior even for one so young. On the eve of Ashura, it is narrated that Imam Hussain alayhi salam was giving a sermon to his warriors. And in some narrations, it says that he was listing out the names of those who would be martyred the next day. Qasim alayhi salam asked, "Oh uncle, will I be among those who are martyred?" Imam Hussain alayhi salam stood silent and then asked Qasim, "What do you think of death?" Qasim replied, "Death for Islam is sweeter than honey." A 13-year-old is saying this. Such loyalty, such morality in someone who has been thirsty for 3 days. Imagine the morality of young Qasim. It is then narrated that when everybody returned to their tents for a night of prayer and worship, Imam Hussain was passing by the tent of Qasim alayhi salam and his mother Farwa salamu alayha, and he heard Qasim say, "Mother, tomorrow Uncle Abbas Ali Akbar and I would defend Imam Hussain. Mother, if I get killed, please do not weep for me." Farwa salamu alayha said, "My son, although I dearly love you, I shall not weep for you. Nothing will make me prouder than to see my son give his life for Islam." Such devotion from the Ahl al-Bayt. Imam al-Hussain, when he heard this, wept and prayed to God to bless Farwa and Qasim alayhi salam. On the day of Ashura, when the companions were all martyred, and the bodies of Ali Akbar alayhi salam, On alayhi salam, and Muhammad alayhi salam were retrieved from the battlefield, Qasim once again went to his uncle and asked to be allowed to fight. His uncle Hussein alayhi salam hugged him, wept, and said, "Qasim, you are my brother's amanats to me. You are given in trust to me, Qasim. I cannot let you go. You remind me of my brother, Qasim. You're your mother's only son. I cannot let you go." It is narrated that whenever Hussein alayhi salam would hug Qasim, he would smell his musk. Hazrat Qasim smelled exactly like Imam Hassan alayhi salam, and Imam Hussain saw Qasim and remembered his brother by him. Qasim alayhi salam returned to his mother weeping. Farwa salamu alayha asked, "What is wrong?" Qasim alayhi salam told her, "My uncle won't let me go to fight." Farwa then remembered that before Imam Hassan alayhi salam's shahadat, he tied a ta'weez around Qasim alayhi salam's arm and said, "Only remove the ta'weez and read what is inside when difficulty surrounds you." Farwa now untied it, and what she saw inside made her weep. Qasim read what was inside, and he smiled gloriously and ran to his uncle. Imam al-Hussain, when he saw what was written inside, began to weep. Imam al-Hassan alayhi salam had written a letter to Imam Hussain in the Taweez. It said, "Hussain, a day will come when Islam will need to be saved by sacrifice. Hussain, I will not be alive that day. However, my son Qasim will be there, and it is my wish for him to represent me on that day." Even Imam Hassan wanted to be represented in Karbala to defend his younger brother. Qasim, overjoyed, then prepared to fight. Imam al-Hussain alayhi salam put the turban of his brother Imam Hassan on Qasim's head and said, "Farewell, O rose of Bani Hashim." Qasim alayhi salam entered the battlefield, and the soldiers in the Yazidi army began to wonder, "Who is this child? His face shines like the moon." Qasim entered the battlefield and said, "Maybe you do not know me. I'm the son of Hassan alayhi salam, the grandson of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi, and my uncle Hussein, who is surrounded like a prisoner among you. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not bestow his mercy on you wretched people." And then Qasim began to attack. He tore into the Yazidi army with such force it began to break. Omar bin Sa'ad asked, "Who is this person? He fights like a lion of the Ahl al-Bayt." He was told it is Qasim, son of Hassan. Hamid bin Muslim, a recorder of events in the Yazidi army, wrote, "I saw a young boy whose face shone like the full moon. He was dressed in a shirt and trousers and wore sandals, one of whose straps was broken. This boy was coming towards me. If I'm not mistaken, the strap of his left sandal was broken." Qasim fought bravely, and each time he felled a champion, he would look proudly in the direction of the camp of Hussein, where he would wave to Abbas alayhi salam, who would be watching him. Abbas alayhi salam would wave back proudly and comment on his great fighting. to Abbas alayhi salam. Qasim was his star pupil. Abbas alayhi salam loved Qasim as a son. Qasim alayhi salam kept fighting and kept tearing the Yazidi soldiers apart. Omar bin Saad ordered a complete swarm on Qasim. They surrounded him. While Qasim fought, a man came up behind him and hit him on the head that wore the turban of Hassan alayhi salam. Qasim fell from his horse, called out, "Oh uncle, alayka minni as-salam, accept my last salams, oh uncle." From this side of the camp ran Hussain alayhi salam. From that side of the camp ran Abbas alayhi salam. From the heavens came Hassan alayhi salam. "Oh my son, do not worry, I'm on my way." The Yazidi army fell into disorder. The attack of the two lions of the Ahlul Bayt threw them into chaos. They ran this way, they ran that way, they fell, they went back. None of them noticed they were running over Qasim's body. When Imam Hussain and Abbas alayhi salam arrived, two men from the Yazidi army attempted to stop them, the same two men who brought Qasim down from his horse. Hussain and Abbas alayhi salam in their rage attacked them and cut off their arm. Then they called out, "Qasim, where are you, nephew? We cannot find you." They kept calling out, "Qasim, say something." They felt a vibration on the ground. They looked and saw that Qasim's body was torn apart by the metal hooves of the horses and the metal-tipped boots of the men. Qasim's body was not in one piece. There were pieces here, there were pieces there. Qasim's body was torn apart. Hussain alayhi salam cried out in horror and fell to his knees. It is narrated that he took off his abba, his cloak, and began gathering the pieces one by one. He then took the bag containing Qasim's body and returned to the camp weeping. What has happened to this rose of the Ahlul Bayt that his body could not be preserved? It was run over by horses. Oh, Qasim, what kind of fate you have been given. Assalamu ala Qasim ibn Hassan. Peace be upon the son of the second Imam, whose body was torn apart. Peace be upon the star pupil of Abbas alayhi salam. Peace be upon the rose of Bani Hashim. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un.